Why do avoidants let you leave? This is a big question that a lot of people have after going through a breakup with an avoidant, where the avoidant was the one who broke up with you, because it just doesn't make any sense, right? You know that there was moments where things were flowing and you guys seemed like the relationship was heading in a direction where you wanted it to be, but they just kept allowing themselves to randomly have these emotions that would allow them to start to want to pull away from you and to become a stranger. And it was just so confusing. And then on top of that, you did everything that you possibly could to try to make the relationship work, and you gave them your all, consistently showing how much you authentically loved this person unconditionally, despite all of the challenges that came with being an avoidant. And you knew that they wanted the relationship because they gave you that sense, but yet they still were the one that broke up with you. And this is something that can be so challenging, but in this video, we're going to kind of break down why they leave and what is essentially happening here. The first reason is that they fear confronting their emotions more than losing you. This is a big thing when it comes to an avoidant, right? Because this is what has happened when they were younger. When they were younger, their emotional needs were not met by their caregiver because of whatever reason that was going on. And because of that, they have grown to fear those type of emotions and to feel like they need to avoid it and stay in this mode of where they're at in their emotions and kind of block everything out. So whenever those things come up, it is a natural response to go into this fight or flight mode and to have anxiety and just go into this kind of mode where they're trying to do everything that they possibly can to not let that happen, because it's a threat to their emotional well-being. And our brain's number one job, besides protecting us physically, is also protecting us from emotional threats. So this is what essentially is going on, and they would rather avoid not having that happen more than they would losing you. That's why you tend to see in those scenarios where an avoidant will reach out to you and say how they miss you and they care for you and all these different things about how they know they're going to lose you, but yet they still don't do anything to try to work through that. Or they don't even reach out to you, and you know deep down that this person does want to be in the relationship. And this is again tied back to that they would rather just move on and just find something else because they believe that they can find you in somebody else. That's something that they kind of use to kind of distract themselves from the reality that they could be losing someone that is the perfect match for them. They don't want to believe that, because this is their way to essentially maintain that control over their emotions so that they don't have to feel those unwanted emotions, which is a threat to their emotional well-being. Number two is that they don't believe that they are capable of loving you the way that you want. This is their avoidant attachment style talking here, because they know that loving you the way that you want would require them to have to express and feel those emotions that they don't want to feel. But instead of reflecting and seeing it that way, they just assume that they can't be this person, and they think that you're asking too much and you're needing too much and all these different things. But in actuality, it's all on them, because all of those emotions and things that they would need to do to meet your needs are all within them, right? You're not asking them to go above and beyond and kind of give them this red carpet treatment every single day. You're just essentially asking them to be genuine and allow themselves to express those emotions that you know are there. But they don't do that, because that again will cause them to feel vulnerable and feel those emotions that they don't want to feel. So this becomes an excuse that they try to use to divert from the real reason as to why this is happening, and that is they are allowing their avoidant attachment style to continue to run rampant on them and not let them express themselves the way that they want to. Number three is that they convince themselves that you are better off without them. This again ties into the second reason, but this is what they really kind of get themselves to believe so that they can feel good about allowing you to leave, right? This is their way to avoid feeling any of those regrets or emotions that they should be feeling, knowing that you are the person that they want, right? Because typically you are exactly the person that they would want to be in a relationship with, but they continue to allow this avoidant attachment style to continue to go on and on and on until it gets to a point for even them with this push and pulling game, and they're kind of fed up with doing that. And instead of doing the difficult part, which is looking at themselves and realizing how this is all on them because they're not doing anything to work on this avoidant attachment style, they would rather make an excuse like this that makes them feel better because they let you down easy, and then they can go on feeling like they did the right thing. But in actuality, no one wins here, because the both of you know that if this person would just work on this, the relationship could actually work. But this is something that they are afraid to do. They don't want to deal with this because it is a big thing to them, and there's a lot that they're going to have to unpack and unravel, and that just alone is enough to cause this avoidance to go into hyperdrive and just make them feel like this is something that is impossible for them, which it's not. It's never impossible for you to change your mind and to work on these things, but to them, they have this fixed mindset when it comes to this, so this causes them to not actually see what is really going on and how they can address it. They would just rather use this excuse and kind of wash their hands and have you both go your separate ways. The fourth reason is that they expect that you are going to come back until you don't. This is a big thing when it comes to an avoidant, right? They are constantly playing a game of chicken in a sense where they believe that you are going to be the one to always break. And this is due to the fact that they have some kind of evidence that this is the case, because what you were trying to really do was make the relationship work and do everything that you possibly can because you genuinely loved them and wanted the relationship to work, and you knew that it was because of this avoidant attachment style, and if they would just work on that, you guys could have a healthy relationship. And instead of seeing it for that, they take it as a sign that you are always going to be there, and they have you on this hook. And that is something that they're willing to bank on every single time that they do this, until there's that day where you no longer are there. And they'll know it. They'll know that the vibe has changed, and that causes them to go into a panic mode because they're like, what is happening? Like, this is not what I am expecting. But even in that moment, there is still a part of them that believes that this is just something that you're going through and you'll be back and they'll figure it out and everything will just be perfectly fine, because again, it's not the avoidant attachment style, it is everyone else, and they have to figure this out. But in actuality, that's not the case, right? Everyone has their own breaking point. You can only be patient and trying to make this work for so long before you no longer can do this anymore. But when it comes to an avoidant, they're either going to go one of two ways. They're either will see that for that reality of saying, oh wow, I messed up here with not trying to do anything to work on this, or they'll go the typical route where they'll still bring up any other excuse or reason as to why leaving you was the right thing to do, and you moving on had nothing to do with their avoidant attachment style. Whatever it might be to make themselves feel good, they'll typically do that because they don't want to address that real reality that they were the one that messed a good thing up for them. And number 5, which is kind of summarizing everything here, and that is their defense mechanism is stronger than their desire. We know deep down that this avoidant, if they didn't have this avoidant attachment style, would genuinely want the relationship, and they do, right? Even with this avoidant attachment style running, there's a part of them that recognizes this. But again, they continue to allow this defense to continue to be this way, to run rampant, rather than realizing that this is actually what they want, right? They want someone like you in their life who is willing to do whatever they possibly can to make it work because you love them unconditionally despite all of the different things that is going on, right? That makes a strong relationship and partner. And instead of seeing that reality, they still fall victim to this avoidant attachment style and don't let themselves see how much this avoidant attachment style has really caused them to make decisions that are not in alignment to what their real desires are, because it has a strong hold on them. And we can empathize with this person and understanding that there's a lot that went on when they were younger to cause them to be this way. We get that, but at the end of the day, this is on them. And it sucks to go through this knowing deep down that, again, if they just would work on this, you guys could have a good relationship. But at the end of the day, you can't make someone change. They have to be the one to do that. And I know that there's a part of you that still still has hope and wants to hold on to that, but you have to do what is best for you, because there is a good chance that this avoidant will never make that change because they genuinely believe that this is who they are and they have this kind of fixed mindset when it comes to that. So they may never get to that point, and you could continue to go through this avoidant attachment style over and over and over again, or they might not even want to even try to make the relationship work anymore because they again would rather just go their separate way and find somebody else who's going to put up with them being this way. And that is why it is so important for you to prioritize yourself and figuring out what you need to do to best heal and move on from them. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's challenging. There's so many things that are unresolved, but at the end of the day, you have to find your own closure and know that it is about you. And when you are able to heal and finally find yourself again and move on completely from this relationship, you will find somebody else who will genuinely want to be in a relationship with you, and you will not have to work so hard to try to just make the relationship work, because that is what you truly deserve. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.